Rain was falling over Birmingham. Not the kind of rain that shuts everything down. Not the kind that sends spectators rushing for the exits. This was the other kind. The kind that pauses a moment. The kind that forces everyone to wait. The kind that makes a story hold its breath. Music. Inside Edgbaston Priory Club, a 21-year-old Filipino stood in the locker room waiting for play to resume. Alex Eala led 3-2 in the deciding set of a WTA 125 semifinal. One set away from a championship match. One match away from something bigger. And through the entire week, she had looked completely comfortable. No visible panic. No signs of uncertainty. No indication that she was competing on a surface she had barely played on only weeks earlier. Music. While fans watched the rain and checked weather forecasts, another audience was paying attention. Not from the stands. Not from television commentary booths. From corporate offices. From marketing meetings. From internal reports. From conversations the public would never hear. Because somewhere inside Nike, people were watching every point. And what they were reportedly discussing says as much about Alex Eala's future as any ranking ever could. This stopped being just a tennis story a long time ago. To understand what companies like Nike see when they look at Alex Eala, you have to stop viewing her solely as an athlete. You have to look at her the way global brands do. As a story. As a symbol. As a connection. As something much larger than wins and losses. Music, and that story did not begin with a trophy. It began with a flower. A year earlier, during her Wimbledon debut, Eala walked onto the grass wearing something that most viewers barely noticed. A custom hair accessory. Simple, elegant, easy to miss. But it was not random. It was a specially designed Sampaguita-inspired piece created exclusively for her. Not a mass-produced product. Not a future retail release. Not something intended to generate sales. Something made for one player. For one moment. For one story. Music. Think about that for a second. Nike is not a company that makes creative decisions casually. Every campaign, every image, every athlete investment, every cultural gesture passes through layers of planning and approval. And yet they devoted resources to creating a deeply Filipino symbol for a player making her first Grand Slam appearance. A player who is not yet a global superstar. A player still climbing. That decision revealed something important. This was not simply sponsorship. It was storytelling. The Sampaguita is more than a flower. For generations, it has represented identity, heritage, and tradition. It appears in celebrations, religious ceremonies, family gatherings. It carries meaning, and Nike deliberately chose that symbol. Music. The message was subtle, but unmistakable. They were not just promoting an athlete. They were investing in a cultural connection. And once you recognize that, the next moves make perfect sense. The story continued to grow. Months later, Eala appeared on the cover of Vogue Philippines. Not in a standard sports feature. Not holding a racket beneath tournament headlines. This was fashion, culture, identity, art. All centered around one athlete. All reinforcing the same idea. That Alex Eala represented something larger than tennis. Music. Then came another signal. In early 2026, Nike Philippines shared images of Eala visiting the company's global headquarters in Oregon. The post was written entirely in Filipino. A small detail, but an intentional one. The response was enormous. Supporters from around the world engaged with it. Filipino communities across continents shared it, discussed it, celebrated it. And that matters. Because brands pay close attention to engagement. Not just numbers. Meaning, connection, emotion, music. When Nike's analysts look at those reactions, they are not simply seeing a promising athlete. They are seeing evidence of influence, evidence of reach, evidence that one player's connection to her audience extends far beyond rankings. Most athletes grow their audience after reaching the top. Eala's audience seems to be growing alongside her climb. And that is a very different dynamic. Then Birmingham arrived. And suddenly the story gained another layer. Performance. Music. The opening round was a statement. Against Priscilla Hahn, Eala looked untouchable. The first set disappeared in a blur. 6-0. 22 minutes. The kind of scoreline that immediately captures attention. The second set followed shortly after. 6-2. Business completed. Efficient. Dominant. Convincing. Then came tougher tests. Matches that required resilience instead of brilliance. Matches where momentum shifted. Matches where pressure increased. And those may have been even more important, because talent is easy to identify. Character is harder. Music against Alex Eala. Eala faced resistance. Real resistance. The kind that forces players to reveal who they are under stress. At 5-2 down in the second set, many players would have allowed doubt to creep in. Instead, she responded by winning 5 consecutive games. 5 straight games. She closed the match 6-2, 7-5. Not because everything was easy, because it wasn't. Because she refused to let difficulty dictate the outcome. The quarterfinal delivered another strong performance. A composed victory. Another straight sets result. Another reminder that her level was not fading as the tournament progressed. It was improving. Music, that is the detail people often miss. Scouts are not obsessed with scoreboards. Not entirely. What they study is behavior. How an athlete responds to adversity. How they carry themselves after losing a point. Whether confidence survives setbacks. Whether composure remains intact when pressure starts to build. Because talent wins matches, but temperament sustains careers. And throughout Birmingham, Eala kept passing those tests. Again and again. The calm expression. The controlled body language. The refusal to panic. The belief that remained visible regardless of the score. Music, those are the traits that organizations notice. Those are the qualities that separate a promising player from a future global figure. And as rain delayed play that afternoon in Birmingham, there was a growing sense that something significant was happening. Not just on the court, beyond it. Because while fans were focused on the semi-final, others were looking further ahead. Toward Wimbledon. Toward future campaigns. Toward possibilities that extended well beyond rankings and trophies. The question was no longer whether Alex Eala belonged at this level. That question had already been answered. The new question was far more interesting. Just how big could this become? The most impressive part was not the scorelines. It was what happened underneath them. Music, talent is easy to recognize. Power shows up on a radar gun. Speed shows up on a stopwatch. Technique shows up in highlights. But the qualities that define careers are harder to see. They reveal themselves only when everything is on the line. That is what scouts watch. That is what executives watch. That is what separates a promising athlete from a lasting icon. And throughout Birmingham, Alex Eala kept showing the same thing. Pressure arrived. She absorbed it, processed it, and somehow came back stronger. Music, a deficit would appear on the scoreboard. The crowd would grow tense. The match would begin drifting toward danger. Then, almost without warning, Eala would win 4 games in a row. 5 games in a row. A set would flip. Momentum would reverse. And from the outside, it looked effortless. The mechanism remained invisible. No panic. No frustration. No visible unraveling. Just solutions. That kind of emotional control is rare. Extremely rare. Music, it is the difference between athletes who enjoy memorable seasons and athletes who build lasting legacies. And long before corporate executives noticed it, the fans did. The fans were there first. Before the magazine covers. Before the headquarters visits. Before the sponsorship conversations. Before any of the commercial momentum. They saw it first. And they responded. That response has become one of the most fascinating stories in modern tennis. Because Filipino supporters were not showing up for Grand Slam finals. They were showing up for developmental level tournaments. Music, they were flying across countries and continents to attend WTA 125 events. The kind of tournaments that usually attract modest crowds and limited media attention. Yet when Eala played, the atmosphere changed. Flags filled the stands. Chants echoed around the venue. The energy felt completely disproportionate to the size of the tournament. Players competing on nearby courts could hear it. Officials noticed it. Broadcasters noticed it. Sponsors noticed it. And eventually, the wider tennis world started noticing it too. Music. One of the people who noticed was veteran broadcaster Gigi Salmon. During a public industry discussion in London, she made a statement that immediately caught attention. Not because it sounded exaggerated, but because it sounded unusually direct. She suggested that in terms of fan support and audience appeal, Alex Eala might already be one of the biggest attractions in women's tennis. Then she described the atmosphere surrounding Eala's matches in Dubai. Her comparison was startling. She said it felt like a pop concert, like a major global music star had arrived. Music, whether one agrees with the comparison or not, the important point is who made it. This was not a Filipino commentator, not a sponsor, not a fan account. This was an established British broadcaster describing what she personally witnessed. And what she witnessed was a level of enthusiasm that did not match Eala's ranking. At least not yet. That gap is becoming impossible to ignore. Because in traditional sports logic, visibility follows results. Win championships, climb rankings, build recognition. The sequence is supposed to happen in that order. But occasionally, an athlete breaks the formula. Music, the connection forms before the trophy cabinet fills. The audience arrives before the biggest victories. The cultural significance develops faster than the sporting resume. That is what appears to be happening here. And when that happens, brands pay attention, very close attention, because emotional connection is one of the most valuable assets in sports. You can buy advertising. You can purchase exposure. You can sponsor events. What you cannot easily buy is genuine loyalty. And genuine loyalty is exactly what Eala has been building. Music, that reality becomes even more striking when respected figures within tennis start framing her rise in unusually powerful terms. Former world number 1 and 4-time Grand Slam champion Kim Clijsters offered one of the most revealing observations. Speaking publicly about Eala's growing influence, she compared the level of attention surrounding her in the Philippines to the kind of cultural impact associated with sporting icons. Not simply talented athletes. Icons. The type of figures who transcend their sport. The comparison was significant not because it was dramatic, but because it came from someone who understands greatness firsthand. Someone who has lived through the pressures, expectations, and opportunities that accompany elite success. Music Clijsters also emphasized something else. Protection. The need to protect a young athlete whose cultural significance may be growing even faster than her professional infrastructure. That point matters, because rapid growth creates challenges. Expectations increase. Commercial opportunities multiply. Public attention expands. The demands placed on an athlete become larger and more complex. Managing that transition successfully often determines whether a promising career becomes an enduring one. And that is precisely why companies like Nike appear to be investing so carefully. Not merely promoting a player, building around a phenomenon. Music, the larger context extends far beyond tennis. It extends beyond Birmingham, beyond Wimbledon, beyond any single tournament. Because Southeast Asia represents one of the most important emerging markets in global sports. Hundreds of millions of people, rapidly growing digital audiences, a young generation forming brand loyalties in real time. Every major sports company understands the opportunity. The competition for attention is enormous, and authentic connections are incredibly difficult to create. That is why Eala's appeal is so valuable. Not because it was manufactured, because it happened naturally, because people chose it, because communities embraced it. Music. When supporters travel internationally to watch early round matches at smaller tournaments, they are demonstrating something marketing departments dream about. Organic loyalty. The kind that cannot be purchased. The kind that spreads through families, through communities, through generations. The kind that grows stronger over time instead of fading. And that may ultimately become one of the most powerful aspects of Alex Eala's story. The connection is real, and real connections tend to endure. Looking ahead, the calendar offers no shortage of opportunities. Major tournaments are approaching. Grass court events continue. Wimbledon waits just over the horizon. Then comes the hard court season and the enormous global spotlight that follows. music, each event now carries multiple storylines. The tennis story, the ranking story, the commercial story, the cultural story, all moving forward simultaneously. And that is what makes this moment so unusual. Most athletes spend years building one of those narratives. Alex Eala appears to be building all of them at once. Which brings us back to that rainy afternoon in Birmingham, back to the locker room, back to a young player waiting for the weather to clear. At the time, it looked like a simple rain delay, a brief interruption before the next few games. But in hindsight, it may represent something larger. Because while the rain paused the match, nothing else was slowing down. Not the momentum, not the attention, not the expectations, and certainly not the story. Music, the question is no longer whether Alex Eala is becoming one of the most important young figures in tennis. The question now is how far that rise can go. And judging by everything that has happened over the last 12 months, the answer may be much bigger than anyone imagined.